Alright, shalom. I'm the brother Tasiyat coming back with another video. But before I start off, I would like to give all praises and the highest honor to Yahweh, Pashim Yahushai, Pashim Kakodash. I want to give double honor to my elder apostles and teachers of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the sincere Akim across the world who are spreading this knowledge and truth and sincerity. May the election be upon your households. Kan shalom. So today I want to make a video concerning that our women, okay, the Israelite woman, so-called black female, okay, that they are really destroyed, man. Mentally and physically, corrupt. Basically, the opposite of what they're supposed to be. They are the opposites of the princesses that they are supposed to be. Okay. So, anyway, this is a video that I saw a long time ago already from the brother Amawan Gabar. Okay, this is his page. But basically, this female is going into, the mentality of mainly the black females in the U.S. The Jake females in the U.S. in the United States, which is called Babylon. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play this video, and then I'm gonna grab a few precepts on it, to show how the scripture also explains concerning our females, man. Okay, so let's get into it.
Yeah, I will say, across the board, black women are the lowest in terms of dating and marrying. In fact, actually, black women are high in dating because we give up sex the most. We're for the streets. We're twerking. We're doing the most. We dominate rap in the culture that is very sexual, especially in the U.S. So a lot of men see us as easy targets to have sex with. And we have the highest rate of having children outside of marriage, wedlock. And so men see us as bed wenches, easy to have sex with, but they don't see us as valuable wives. Our culture, especially in the U.S., I don't know how it is in the U.K., and it's a little different, but our family structure is so broken and so destroyed that we really, the majority of black women in the U.S., we've been put into...
Which the family structure that is broken is something that also came of the Willie Lynch letter, if you don't know about that. That was basically a letter to break up the Israelite families, okay, the slave descendants, to break our families apart. Okay, the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. So you can read this for yourself also concerning that. Okay, how they broke apart the father from the household, for example, and made the children be alone with the mother and let the mother raise the children, things like that. Okay, to break our families apart. So ultimately it's Esau, man, that is doing this, the so-called white man. Okay, but let's continue.
Into a position of just being, sexual, just for a man's sexual pleasure. But if they're going to take a woman serious, that's why you see a lot of black men, when they become successful, they're not marrying us. I mean, they do. Okay, let me say this. 80% of black men are marrying black women, even when they're successful. But there is a huge thing where a lot of black men are going to other races. Why? And a lot of women don't understand. They say the man is racist. No, the culture that woman may have been brought up in, her submissiveness, in our culture, being rebellious, dressing provocative, it's standard. It is standard. We hate ourselves a lot. We hate our own hair. We want our butts to be the fattest. We pride ourselves on things of being bosses, having the fattest booty, being able to twerk the best, but not.
So what she's explaining right now, that is in the scriptures, man, that our females, are like this, are always trying to be that boss, so-called boss-ass bitch, always trying to be independent or whatever, always on that bullshit of theirs, man. Okay, so let's go to the first scripture, man. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3, starting at verse 16. Moreover, the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, so the daughters of Israel, the Israelites, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, So what is a stretched forward neck? Okay, you can kind of imagine when you stretch your neck forward, you know, stretched forward neck. They often walk with that, their chin high, basically like, like, whatever, man, you know, basically walking arrogant. Of course, they're gonna show some bullshit. Arrogant. Basically like this, like a stretched, stretched forward neck. Okay, basically walking around like that, chin up high. Okay, showing that they are the so-called boss or whatever, or they don't give a fuck about nothing. Okay, that is how a few must be walking on the streets. Walking and mincing as they go, and making a tingling with their feet. So with their feet they shuffle across the ground, like sloffen met je voeten is called in Dutch. Like they are not really lifting up their feet when they're walking. You hear like the when they're walking. You really hear their presence, man. They don't show you that in this picture. Let me type this if they can see. What if I type this? Lazy walk. Well, basically they just shuffling with their feet. They dragging their feet, their feet a little bit across the ground. Basically they have an arrogant walk. Okay, an arrogant way of behaving and conducting themselves. Okay. So going back to the video, a little bit back.
And bosses having the fattest booty, being able to twerk the best, but not intrinsic values that is a wife. And to speak to Maggie, like we talk about like colorism in our culture, because I think race is not just race, but it's colorism within our own culture, where they prefer light skin, they prefer this, that, and the other. I tell you on God, an attitude like Maggie, a lot of men
Which you should not swear at the Most High, neither at heaven, So that is where she went off. But let's go on.
So anything to me, there's such a peace and an aura about her that a lot of women can learn from, of every race, but particularly in the Black community. That's not standard model, like who she is. Like if you come around Maggie, you just feel loved on. You feel like home. And so I think a lot of Black women can retain that. But if we're talking about race, we're talking about Black women. Let's just be honest about it. We're talking about Black women, not we who have the lowest marriage rates. We have the highest birth rates outside of marriage. Why is that? We have the highest number of abortions. And our behavior and the culture we promote, if you look around the world, look at our rappers, look at the culture. Most men see us as sexual tools.
Always trying to be that boss-ass bitch, walking around as thoughts. You got all these crazy rappers nowadays, like whatever these names of all these rappers be, man. For example, you have Asian Doll, walking around like a stripper. Okay, what else do you have anymore, man? All these crazy female rappers, man. Let me just type this in. Black female rappers, and they are basically leading away even more the generation, mainly the children that are supposed to look up, to the elder woman. They showing you all type of nakedness and boss-ass bitch things, that, and a lot of, basically the whole attitude that they be pushing is just off, man. Okay, which the scripture says in As a matter of fact, let me go there also. In the book of Titus, that they are supposed to be conducting themselves in a good manner, and teach and teach it also in a good manner to the younger woman, man. Okay, so this is Titus chapter 2. Let me start at verse 3. The aged woman likewise, so the older woman, aged older woman, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, so they have to behave holy. Okay, and holy means separate, so you separate yourself from the normal female and the normal ones, the heathens. We are supposed to be separate, okay, different than the rest. Not false accusers, not given too much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young woman to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. So this is what they gotta teach the younger woman, okay? But they teach the opposite, man. Okay, yeah, you independent, you don't need no nigga, this, that, and the third. Okay. Verse 5, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, so you take care of the home, cooking, the cleaning, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of the Most High be not blasphemed. And that is what the Most High wants, man. Meanwhile, we are living in a simulation where literally the opposite is happening, man. So let's continue with the video.
Do you agree with what she was saying?
Let me rewind it a little bit.
Why is that? We have the highest number of abortions, and our behavior and the culture we promote. If you look around the world, look at our rappers, look at the culture. Most men see us as sexual tools.
Do you agree with what she was saying?
Yeah, I do.
Do you agree with what she's saying?
Yeah.
Do you agree with what she's saying?
Partly, but not everything.
Okay, do you agree with what she's saying?
I do.
What's the part that you don't agree with?
I think one that I don't know all those statistics, but I'm assuming you're talking from the US. When you talk about wife culture and wife mindset, Maggie's a wife in this room, but I'm thinking.
But she's rare. She's rare. Her attitude and what she is in the world, the U.S. has the highest numbers of children born out of wedlock, and the people who dominate that are black women. So this is worldwide.
So worldwide,
The single mother rate is
black women.
The single mother rate is
Black
high
women.
in the UK as well.
But it's
Okay.
black women who
Yes,
dominate
it's
that.
black
so
women.
but we're saying that we're not raised with this wife mindset.
No, we're not. We're not. And we can blame. There's a lot of reasons for it. It's not just because we're the worst or anything like that.
But
It's not what I mean.
But I think that's what you have to break down, because if we're going to then speak to black women and say these things, you have to then come with reasonings, because there's so much we already get that you are this, you are this, you are that. If we're then going to add to that ourselves, you have to be responsible to add a solution and a background.
But the solution is you have to take accountability. I don't care what your background is. We live in the most privileged society in the world. Even though the worst circumstance of a black woman today is nothing what it was 100 years ago. Especially if you want to talk.
Exactly, because the scripture also says, man, a new thing under the sun, a woman shall compass a man. So this is actually the time that the females are having even more power over the men, man. Okay? Compared to back in the days. So that's in the book of Jeremiah. Where is Jeremiah? Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 22. So that is prophecy also, actually, man. Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 22. How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? And backsliding because we constantly go back in that same old way of, turning our back against the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. For the Lord had created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. Okay, so the woman is actually now getting more, being more valued than the man. Okay, you see that in a society that they have more rights, for example, when you build as a man your own business and things like that, your own home, everything that you worked for years, and you marry a woman, and after a few years you might divorce her. She now has the right, to get all those things that you worked for. She also has the right to claim part of that, man. things like that. Okay, the children often can go to the mother instead of the father, and basically this whole system is based to break our families down. Okay, the house of the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay, so let's play it again.
I want to talk about the U.S. slavery. I don't know how it was in the U.K. I mean, I do know it wasn't like it was in the U.S. But if one woman, black woman, made a choice that was Maggie made a choice that was better than the next black woman, then you have a standard now that you need to live up to. And I think a lot of times we wanted to say, well, it's somebody's fault to the government. It's this, that. A lot of races. You look at the Jewish people and what they've gone through in society. It's a lot of the same atrocities. In fact, all of the Bible, all of the Israelites and the Hebrews were actual slaves. Like it was a known thing. And so what I'm saying is, if we have to take accountability. We want to keep pointing. Let's not point any more of what the government and what it is. What do black women need to change today? What are we promoting? Are you twerking? Are your friends twerking online? Are they showing their booty? Are they dressing for the streets? Are they thinking about serving a man? Most black women today, it is sacrilegious. It is almost insulting them to say serve a man a plate. It is like discombobulate them. It's almost they get aggressive and mad and call you a pick me for giving a man a plate, taking his plate. You want some more to drink? You want some more to eat? It's a pleasure. Maggie and I were having a conversation like most black women don't know the joy, and I'm not blaming. Get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm saying this from a point of view that a lot of black women don't know the other side of this conversation. We're talking about it is a joy to see a man light up. Like, what's for dinner? Like, excited about bringing the plate, and he's so satisfied. You think you have to be sexual to make a man so happy and want you? I'm going to tell you what, we come in, and I'm serving your man, I'm taking him. Like, he's gone. He's out of your life. Why? Because I'm coming in with wife features. I don't have to dress a certain way. I don't have to do certain. I don't have to twerk. We have been sexualized. And what you have to understand, the way we are behaving today in our mindsets, we want to blame the government. But you have to understand the mindsets we have today, the independent, sexualized ways that we are. You got to be mad that's how you have to be, what our culture has become, because it has been put upon us.
Okay, so for me, my perception.
So, Salakia, but before we go on, basically, a woman is supposed to be a pillar of rest unto the husband, okay? So, when females, for example, say, yeah, man, the man has to conquer me and whatever, if you are a man, right, and you work every day or let's say 5 days a week, okay, you begin in the morning and maybe late in the afternoon, you come home, at the job you're already dealing with these Edomites, acting fake as hell, laughing, ha, yeah, this and that, how was your day? Oh, okay, great, yeah, how was the barbecue? Acting fake as hell, give all that social energy, and then when you come at home, you don't want to conquer your wife. You just want her to be there for you, to be that pillar of rest, man. Okay, so that is something that Andrew Tate also said. Okay, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 36, because this is also what the scripture says concerning what I just explained. 36 verse 24, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession. So your wife is actually your possession. Okay, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. Yeah, she's supposed to be your helpmate. Okay, she is supposed to be the one that is basically that rest when you have a hard day of work or whatever, a long day. Okay, you come home, she already cooked, she already cleaned, she maybe prepared a few things, just to ease your mind, man. Okay, so let's go back. Now let's see her response.
That we are, you gotta be mad that's how you have to be, what our culture has become, because it has been put upon us.
Okay, so for me, my perception, I do agree with a lot of what you're saying, but for me it comes from a place of, let's talk about self-worth. And let's talk about how black girls and black women can increase our self-worth. And therefore, you're coming from a place of help. Because if you're talking about other cultures, Jewish culture, any other cultures, they are a community. And they don't I feel like it's only our culture that constantly talks bad about each other so
Yes,
publicly.
it's true. It's true.
So publicly.
It's true.
So if we're going to have this conversation, you come from a place of how can we help each other and build each other up. Maggie kindly then spoke to this lady and said, can I just say, out of respect, next time, think like this. Next time, put the right things in order. And I think that was the most beneficial thing that she got from this conversation, rather than all the questions of how did this happen, and being accusatory. Come from a place that Maggie was saying, how do we help each other with building up our self-worth and kindness, and stop with the constant, well, we're this, because we are talking bad about ourselves.
But this is the thing, black women want this soft tone, but we don't give what we want to receive. So we were
But Maggie
talking about,
did.
but Maggie did, but look at most black women today. There's an aggression, there's a dominance, there is a thing. And I understand because most of us have been raised very masculine because we didn't have fathers in the home, our mothers relied on us, our mothers didn't teach us certain things. So we want what we're not giving out to the world. You want the tone of Maggie, then be Maggie. Like, no one's making us choose the things. Everyone comes from somewhere. My mother was raped at 14. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. But no fault of her own. Her black mother kicked her out of her house. White nuns took her in. Okay, no fault of her own. She made a choice. She didn't talk to her family for nearly 7 years. She decided to go to college. She was going to make something of herself. She went on, joined the Air Force, went to college, got her degree. The only person in her family, while the rest of them made different choices. Then she went on. I grew up in the Pentagon because of my mother. I had an internship in the White House because of my mother. Her circumstances were what they were, but she went on to make a different choice. So every time we say these things, and she raised me the way she did to try to get me the results. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. She's not perfect. None of us are perfect. But I think a lot of black women, especially Kevin Samuels, who was my mentor, a lot of black women are against him. He was one of my friends. He was my mentor. And so a lot of women got mad at his tone because they never had a father talk to them and discipline. He sounded just like my father. So I was like home to me because I knew a man who loves you and loved black women, and that's what it was. That's what we were so harping on tone, and we want all this kindness, but are we giving it out? Most black women are extremely aggressive, extremely combative, aggressive, but when they say, well, you need to say it nicer, but are we giving out what we want to receive?
Maybe that's where it happens.
So that is why it's very important to have a father figure in the house, man. And that is what Esau ultimately tried to break apart, through slavery. Okay. So she even spoke about Kevin Samuels, which he was actually trying, to teach us how to have a good household, man. Okay. And what she explained about her mother raising her a certain way, that is, not that I know a lot about that mother or whatever, but it sounds to me like that mother did a better job than the majority of the black female out there. Okay. Because she is now speaking things that is actually how an Israelite female is supposed to be behave, man. Be there for your husband, cook, clean. Basically, you got your duty as a female, just like we as men do, man. You see? So I'm looking for some scriptures. Let me see. What is this? Yeah, let me go here to 1 Corinthians 11 verse 3, because I feel like there's also another point that needs to be made, that not just because we read that the female that is your wife is your possession, that you now really gotta act like that she is your bitch and basically rule over her with rigor, but it's more like a thing of order. Okay, she is supposed to be obedient to you, but that doesn't mean that you can treat her now like shit. Okay, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Yahweh Shai. So the head meaning the boss, basically the one that is above you. Okay. So our head, the one that is above us, the one, that is basically above us, that is Yahweh Shai. And the head of the woman is the man. So in order, we are above the woman. Okay, so she needs to be obedient to us, to the man. And the head of Yahweh Shai is Yahweh. Okay, so the Most High, his name says it, is above all, of course. Okay, so it's just like it's a thing of order, man. Okay, if a female says like, nah, man, I am the prize, and a man is supposed to listen to the woman, and this and that and the third, you basically, and she says like, yeah, you're not my boss, then basically you can counter with like, okay, so when you go to your work, right, can you speak to your manager, a certain way, or do you listen to your manager also, to your boss also at work, doesn't mean that he needs to treat you like shit, but there's still a certain order when you go to your job, right? Okay, so why then do you accept the order at the job but not at home in your own household, okay, with your own family? You see, so just in that example, it's a thing of order, man, and the Most High is about order. Okay, so let's continue.
It helps though. If you give it, maybe it'll be received and it might just be soaked in and given right back.
And I don't say this to put our women down. I know the history of what we've gone through. This is more so we can have a conversation, be real with each other, so that we as a community can get better results. If we're not real with each other, especially the older women talking to younger women, I want every woman in this room to win. I have no competition with you. A lot of your mothers are in competition with you. Okay? They don't want you to win. They didn't raise you to be a wife because they didn't understand. They did the best with what they knew. And so it's not a point of putting you down. It's not a point of breaking you down, but saying, listen, we need to learn from Jewish culture. We need to learn some Latin culture.
I got a question. So are we all, so we all want to be more like Meghan Markle or less like Meghan?
No, absolutely not. She's a narcissist. I
That
was a fan. My
question.
first time coming to
Yeah.
the UK was to that wedding because I believed in what they were doing.
Yeah.
I recently did a video. I was the first black woman publicly on YouTube to say absolutely. Once I saw the evidence of the simping of Prince Harry and the destruction of his family, boy, but listen, Ruby Bridges, who was the first little girl in the U.S. to go into segregation in the U.S., all the schools were segregated, black and white. She was 7 years old, went into a school for the first time, a white school. She was spit on, beat up, brutalized, and she stood what we call 10 toes. She stood taller than Meghan Markle. You do not know. If you look at Martin Luther King, people who went through real racism in the world, Nelson Mandela complained less than Meghan Markle. She was only black when it was convenient. She never stood for us. Why were there no black girlfriends? Or her black family she had beef with her white family. Why was her black family not there? The only black people were there were people that she saw black people as charity, or black people like Oprah, people she didn't even know. So she didn't love us, she didn't claim us, she did nothing for us. And once I opened my eyes and see she got the right one with Prince Harry being a mark and a simp, and he had a bitterness and an anger because he's the spare. But really, y'all need to watch South Park.
I'm glad my troll question went on that direction. Can I add like one little?
No.
Okay, I will not. I will not.
Sorry guys, sorry. I'm gone.
Alright, cool.
As many of you know, I was just banned.
So that's basically it, man. Okay, just like I said, the woman is not over the man, but the man is over the woman. Now I'm gonna grab, Lord willing, 2 more scriptures and then close it off. So this is 1 Timothy chapter 2, starting at verse 9. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel. That is, like basically like humble clothing and covered up, with shamefacedness and sobriety. Okay, don't be acting like that boss ass bitch and acting like a hoe. Not with broidered hair or gold or pearls or costly array. So don't be, really out there showing yourself. Like, look at me, guy, trying to really get attention of these men. Showing your navel, wearing tight pants and shit like that. You see, even back in the days, you had certain garments, certain clothing, which was what was it again? To show what a female was, If a female, for example, was taken by a man, she had a certain color she was wearing, or a certain mantle she was wearing. If she was a widow, she had a certain color. For example, if she was a harlot, a hoe, she had a certain mantle on. Okay, and even then, the hoes from back in the days were more covered up than the normal females from nowadays, man. So that should show you a thing. If our ancestors were to live this day, man, they would be they would go crazy, man. They would start killing people, for the bullshit that they would see that's going on, compared to the mindset that they had back in the days. Okay. So reading on. Verse 10. But which becometh woman professing godliness with good works, let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. So not talking back too much to your husband, really trying to make an argument and shit like that, because that's also not what you do to your boss, with your boss at the job. Okay. But I suffer not a woman to teach, so the woman cannot even actually be a teacher, man. Not at school, and definitely not teaching the scriptures. Being out there like a so-called prophetess on the streets, on the highways and the byways, trying to teach people concerning the Bible and trying to be a prophet. Okay, nor to assert authority over the man, so they don't have authority over the man. Period. Point blank. But to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgression. So the sin started with the woman also. Okay. So basically, I'm gonna leave it at that. Let me go back to Isaiah chapter 3 where I started. Let me start at verse 16 again and then read till verse 17 and verse 24, and then I'm done, Lord willing. So this is Isaiah chapter 3 verse 16. Moreover the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, rolling their eyes like, basically like, walking and mincing as they go and making a tingling with their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion. So this might be a little bit hard to understand, but what is the crown of your head? This is the crown of your head. In the Dutch we call it je hoofdkruin. Crown of your head. Basically this part right here. Okay? This part right here. That is the crown of your head. Okay? And usually what our females have, their hair is being broken down. They hardly can grow afros, they always put on wave and things like that because they're also ashamed of their hair, man. So that is what the Most High would do. He would smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion. So it's basically like a curse, man, upon our females, concerning their hair also, that it doesn't always grow that good. And the Lord will discover their secret parts. Okay, now verse 24. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink. So instead of the woman smelling good, they be stinking, man. Smelling like sweat, pussy stinking, whatever. And instead of a girdle, a rent. And instead of well set hair, baldness. You see, that's why a lot of our females cannot really grow the afro like that. Mainly Judah, mainly the southern kingdom. Okay. And instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth and burning instead of beauty. Okay, so that is actually a curse that came upon them. So, it was a long video, but I hope it was edifying. And with that, I want to give all praises and the highest honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Mukakadash. I want to give double honor to my elder apostles and teachers of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the sincere Akiam across the world, who are spreading his knowledge and truth and sincerity. And may the election be upon your households. Shalom.